you on building your authority in your profession, your industry, your line of business, your niche, so that you can choose who you're going to work with, when you're going to work, from where you're going to work, and demand the rates that you are worth. In order to do that, we will answer 3 questions today. Number 1 is there demand for that type of coaching or consulting that you will be offering? Number 2, if there's enough demand, are there enough buyers, right? So the fact that there's enough demand for your type of service doesn't mean that people are actually buying, because maybe it's just a trend. Maybe people are looking for it because they want to educate themselves, or they want to hire somebody for time, for example, right? So who knows? But we want to have absolute certainty today that there's demand, and then there are buyers for your kind of services. That also includes whether or not the people that you are targeting are actually using the same search terms, right? So we're going to figure that out. Demand, buyers. After that, it's all a question about positioning yourself accordingly so that people can find you rather than you chasing them. How cool is that? It's just going to take a few minutes. I'm so glad that you're here. I so honor and value you for taking the time, because it means to me that you are committed to your growth and that you already are an authority. We just need to give you some of the tools, which is going to happen right now. Okay, so let's talk about finding demand first, or verifying whether or not there's demand for your type of consulting and coaching. For that, I want you to go to Google Trends. The URL is trends.google.com, and it gets you to this web page. When you get there, for some reason I'm just making this bigger now than I wanted to, but that's cool. So when you get there, Google will give you by default the trends for the last 12 months. We don't want that. What we want is the last decades, or last 2 decades, so that we have a very clear picture about the demand, even across recessions. So let me go back to this real quick here. So when I go back to 2004, I think this is probably when Google started, or started tracking it. You see here with the word consultant, or search term consultant, has been very steady, right? For all 18 years, almost 2 decades, even throughout the recessions. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Contrast that with localization consulting. Zilch, zero, none. And coincidentally, it's a consulting business that I used to be in, and I built this to over 1 million. But it's very, very tough because the market is very small. When you find somebody and you build this relationship properly, it's awesome. But that market, or that niche of localization consulting, is typically covered by service providers. So by the companies that are actually rendering, like for example, translation, cultural adaptation, design work, engineering, and so on, with consulting being one of the services. It defied me because companies like Apple and Microsoft, they would make just a fraction of their revenue without localization, which is the cultural adaptation of their products for other countries. All right. So, but there's no demand there for independent consultants or coaches, or the demand is so small that it doesn't even show up here. We don't want that, okay? What we want is what we see here, is with HR consulting, that at least we are over the 25 line, but you also see that the demand has been consistent over the last 18 years, consistently over the 25 line, and you didn't have any dips or spikes during certain times. Very, very stable, very recession-proof business to be in. Love that, all right? Look at operational consulting. That is what I'm looking for. The fluctuation is much stronger, but it's also overall much higher, right? So that's the kind of consulting that we are looking for, that we are around the 50 line and it's stable. Again, it doesn't mean it's around the 25 line, that there are not going to be enough buyers. Maybe for the size of business, that's going to be enough. All right, that's for you to figure out. But these are the things that we're looking for. Okay. Here is strategy consulting, for example. Same thing. That's totally something that we could go into. Yes. So the second thing now is to figure out whether or not there are buyers. Remember, the fact that there's enough demand doesn't mean that there are buyers. And we will get absolute certainty about that right now as well. For that, we're going to good old Mr. Google. And I prepared this here already. Good old Mr. Google. And type into the search bar HR consulting, for example, whatever consulting term we found for which there is demand. And what we're looking for is whether or not there are enough ads at the top and on the bottom of the search list. Okay, so when I put in HR consulting, I see 1, 2, 3 ads on top, and I scroll down and I see another 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. That is awesome. Now we know HR consulting, the demand is constant across all the recessions, has been constant over a long period of time, almost spanning 2 decades, and there are enough people that pay for it. All right, cool. So let's talk about operations consulting. We have like 1, 2. First of all, we see the search results, but more importantly, we see 1, 2, 3, 4 ads on the top, and another. Was it here, down here? 1, 2, 3 on the bottom of it. So I just moved my browser here a little bit, so I apologize for that. So that is a good indication that there are enough buyers. So now we know there's enough demand and there are enough buyers. Okay, so now the third question is, how do we position ourselves? So we now know with absolute certainty that we're in the right market. Now we need to position ourselves as the authority. We will do that on social media via a number of things. Number one, we will create our social media profiles so that they radiate that authority. So when people go to our LinkedIn profile, our Facebook profile, they see right away that we are in these industries and we are positioning ourselves as the authority. I have a separate training for that. You will have access to it the moment you download the worksheets. Down here, just click the button, download the worksheets. You get immediate access, A, to the worksheet, B, to the training on the authority builder, which has really 2 parts. One is how do you create your authority profile, what needs to be in there in your LinkedIn or Facebook profile or Instagram profile, so that you portray that authority. But there's also, that's even more exciting, there is a social media calendar there with all the kind of topics that you need to publish each day to get the following and that you need in order to become the authority that you deserve to be. All right, and don't stress out. That calendar will require you to work on social media about an hour a week. It's very straightforward, very simple. So it's not a lot of tech involved, and you're going to enjoy this. So you will be on your journey within like 15 minutes from now. Okay, how cool is that? So download this workbook, and you'll get access to the training. And once you're there, will also have the opportunity to schedule a meeting with me, one-on-one, where you and I will talk about your situation, what you have come up with, and see what's possible for you in the next 12 weeks. If there's anything that's in the way, and what we need to do, what you can do to move your dream forward. Okay, so I see you either on the other side, or I see you and follow you on your path to success in the right niche, industry, line of business where there's enough demand of business. All right, see you soon.